help me. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I'm so sorry.
Listen to me. Listen.
Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry, Lord. Forgive me, Father. I sinned.
The detectives were on the brink of uncovering Sherry Engel's betrayal of her husband, Fred Engel. This revelation would astonish them and expose the master manipulator concealed behind her tearful pleas for forgiveness. On April 21st, 2008, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 52-year-old Sherry Engel rushed to the house of her next-door neighbors, Tommy and Karen Rickerson, in a panic, unable to find her husband, 52-year-old Fred Engel.
And Fred's wife, Sherry, was screaming and yelling. She was just frantic.
Tommy searched the neighborhood for Fred, but found no trace of him. Sherry then suggested checking the community mailboxes, explaining that Fred had taken their mailbox key with him. When they arrived, they saw blood on the floor and Fred's glasses lying on the ground near the mailboxes.
It was all woods in the back of the mailbox. And I was afraid that whoever did this might still be there.
They immediately called the authorities after making this shocking discovery.
When I arrived on scene, there were people sitting on their screened-in patios while we were out there. They watched it all. Everyone in the neighborhood was worried that something bad had happened to Fred.
Fred's mysterious disappearance left the community alarmed.
Everybody was scared. I mean, this actually frightened everybody.
Things would soon take a more sinister turn. On Tuesday, April 22, 2008, the police made a grim discovery in the woods, about 30 feet from the mailboxes.
The Bloodhound tracking team members were preparing to begin their search for Fred. And that's when we noticed the door to the mailbox was open. We had found blood and a pair of glasses. Someone had been drugged through this pool of blood. One of the team members saw something that caught his eye in the wood line. And when we illuminated that area with light, it was a dead body. There was a wound on the back of his head that was bleeding, and there was a shoelace that had been tied around his neck.
A local hospital pathologist testified that it took significant force to leave the shoestring marks on Fred's neck. He also noted a fresh head laceration likely caused by a blunt object and a defensive wound on Fred's finger from trying to pull the shoestring away. A forensic pathologist confirmed that Fred had been strangled to death. 4 days after Fred's murder, police discovered that Sherry had gone back to her hometown in Breckinridge County, Kentucky to be with her family. Before leaving, she handed over Fred's laptop and phone, including her own devices, to the officials.
I had found a block of phone calls and text messages between Sherry and a 502 area code, which came back to the Kentucky area. And there were phone calls that were made and received to this number during the time that she claimed she was asleep the night of Fred's murder. And that was a big alarm bell.
8 days after Fred's murder, detectives linked the cell phone number on Sherry's phone to a 40-year-old man named Timmy Rogers. Michael Graham, an expert in tracking cell phone activity, testified that on April 21, 2008, there were at least 14 calls and text messages between Sherry and Timmy. Only 2 calls were exchanged the next day, with contact significantly decreasing afterward.
I also had cellular data that showed Timmy Rogers' cell phone leaving a hotel in Myrtle Beach, traveling to the crime scene, traveling back to Kentucky at the exact same time that Sherry Engel decided to return back to Kentucky. All of these pieces of information coming together has just made Timmy Rogers the prime suspect in Fred Engel's murder.
The detectives promptly brought Timmy Rogers in for questioning.
You ever been to Myrtle Beach before?
Yes.
When'd you been there?
Well, actually, Sherry was helping me. She said there were plenty of jobs and stuff down there, so I went down there for a while and applied for jobs.
What kind of relationship you guys have?
She helps a lot, She just talks to me when I get depressed and stuff, from things.
You ever stayed at her house?
No.
She's a good friend. Why couldn't you stay with her?
Because she was married.
Timmy has no idea that the detectives are onto him.
When I asked him why he didn't stay with Sherry, I made a note. It seemed to panic Timmy. He even leaned forward to see if he could figure out exactly what I was writing down.
How often do you talk with Sherry on her cell phone and stuff?
Oh gosh, just about once a day.
You guys kind of developed a relationship, friendship, really close?
Yeah, real close.
Has it gone anything beyond that?
No, gosh, no.
You sure?
But, yeah, but she's been there for me all the time. I mean, she's been kind of my angel, you know. That's the way I always told her. I always looked at her as my guardian angel.
Why do you think that is?
Because she introduced me to the Bible and everything and learning the truth.
At this point, I had been conversational. I had tried to be his friend, and that hadn't gotten very good results. So now's the time to turn up the heat.
Do you know what exactly we're looking into, the reason we're here, the reason we brought you in? Don't have any idea?
You told me that, or somebody told me that was arrested for the murder of Fred Engel.
Yeah, that's why we're here. That's what we do. That's my case and Neil's case we've been looking into.
Okay.
Pretty much everything I've asked you to this point, I know the answer to.
Okay.
That's what we do.
Okay.
We've checked on everything that you told us we do. We knew, where your family was at. We knew that you graduated high school. You had a 17 son, divorced, and your life worked at Rough River. Okay. And we knew all that. Okay. And the reason we knew all that is it's important to establish something of a baseline with you so that we'll know if you're a truthful or honest person. Okay. Okay. We know you've been dealing with Sherry. You say she's been a close friend and supporter of you, and I don't question that for a bit. Mm-hmm. But I kind of feel like the relationship might have been a little more than that. Mm-hmm. Before you start shaking your head and telling me no, you have to understand how many people we've spoken to. Okay. Okay. And how many video surveillance tapes we've looked at. Okay. Okay. How many financial records we've looked at. Okay. You have to understand the kind of evidence that we're taking away from the crime scene when Mr. Engel was killed. Okay. Like I said, we're not here for no reason. All right. You drove your truck down to the beach. Right? Okay. You left on April 7th for this most recent visit. Okay. You arrived either early morning hours or turned your phone on for the first time early morning hours on April 8th. Okay. You checked into the value place. Okay. And you stayed there before March. You stayed there roughly about the same amount of time. March as you did April. Oh, did? Okay. Roughly about the same. Okay. You checked out. You were paid up until May 6th, which is tomorrow. But you went ahead and checked out anyway. You came on home. Gave an instruction on how to send your security deposit back to you and all that. The folks there, some of them had even had conversations with you at some point. We've got statements from them about those conversations and what we're about. We've gone through their security surveillance system, got some video footage of you. And on that video footage is Sherry. Sherry's there as well. She came to visit, yeah. Okay. On that video footage, the staff members there, they said they've seen you guys hugging and kissing, that kind of thing. Yeah, we'd hug and kiss, yeah. Not like that. But well, that's not the way they explained it. The way they explained it, you guys were pretty much passionately embraced to the point where they thought they were going to have to ask you to get on up to your room if there's something happening in the hallway. Oh, gosh. They probably looked that way because she was helping me. She was helping you? How did she help you about hugging and kissing? Because that's what I needed. Okay. Come on now, Timmy. What you're starting to do is you're starting to turn off to the left here. You're doing just great. You're going straight ahead. You're starting to veer off course. Hang on now. Okay. I know the answers to the questions I'm going to ask you. Okay? Okay. You're not going to shoot me around on this stuff. I know. Okay? You knew, you've already stated in this conversation earlier, that she was a married woman. Yes. And you've been seen in public. Yeah. Kissing her and hugging her. Yeah. And hang on. In a manner that a normal person watching you would feel like you guys were romantically involved. And that's not all I've got. That's just where we're starting. Okay? So think long and hard about this.
However, Sherry has a completely different version of events to share.
What kind of relationship do you have with her?
She helps me out. She's a big, good friend. I mean, I really care for her a lot. You know, if she does give me a hug and stuff and kiss every now and then, just...
How about the time you guys were saw hugging and kissing together in the parking lot of the hospital in Louisville? back last summer, the end of last summer. Where did your cell phone come from?
In Louisville.
Who paid
I don't
for it?
remember. I think I did.
You did?
I think I did. I can't remember. I really don't remember. I think I did, but I don't remember.
You paid for a cash or a card?
I don't have a credit card.
You don't have a debit card or like a Mac card?
I had a debit card at one time. Yes, I did. I may have used it. I don't remember. It's been so long ago.
Okay. Well, I think you got a pretty tight relationship going with Sherry.
Yeah, she's a good thing.
I think you guys have been pretty thick. I think both of you have gone through some tough stuff.
Yeah, she's had some rough times too.
What she said, she's had rough times about it.
Oh gosh, she kind of knows about the cheating part, like that I went through.
How does she know? I mean, she just knows your situation, or she's experienced something like that herself.
Yeah, she's experienced stuff like that too. Her
Where is that?
husbands and stuff. The past husbands and everything used to beat her and treat her bad, and I mean, she's. What do you ask her? I mean, I don't know what to say.
Anything you know in regard to why she would have knowledge of that particular kind of behavior?
She seemed to know all about everything that I was going through all the time.
She didn't really specifically explain why. She just kind of.
I didn't ever ask her any questions because I never wanted to push stuff very much. I mean, I didn't know what to ask. She would just. As I was going through, all right, you want to know about.
What I want to know is the truth. I don't think you're being quiet.
No,
100% truthful.
what part of the truth?
The part about you and her relationship and you and her hugging and kissing. And if you saw me in the hallway with a woman hugging and kissing, what would you think? You'd think we had some sort of relationship.
That's why we didn't say much to anybody.
Well, you didn't say much to anybody because she was married and she was cheating on her husband with you.
No.
That's why you didn't say anything.
It wasn't
Well, you
cheating.
basically already admitted that, Timmy. Come on, don't minimize it. You've already admitted that you guys are hugging and kissing, and that's cheating because she's married, right?
Well, I mean, if you look at the hugging and kissing
Well,
part,
that's really the only way you can look at it, sir. You can't really eat your cake and have it too. You know what I mean? It either is or it isn't.
a conversation we had last night, we were sitting on the porch out.
See, I think you've had a lot of conversations, and I think she's filled your head with all kinds of stuff to say. And you're trying to stick with the story that you established with.
No, this is the truth. This is every step that goes through. As a matter of fact, the conversation we had last night, I was telling her, I said, I really need a hug. And she said, I got too much to go on right now. And I said, I was talking about Bobby, She told me, she said, well, Bobby can just, if you need help, Bobby can just talk to him, about your problems and stuff. He'll come up and give you a hug. I just kind of feel alone. And that's what I told her, just really feel alone. And she's a good-hearted person. She's a compassionate person.
Bobby, you're a good guy, but I don't think you're telling me the truth. I think there's more to it than that. I think you and her have a physical relationship like boy and girl, boyfriend, girlfriend.
I do care for her. Yes.
I know you care for her. And even to more solidify that point, we've heard that you guys have slipped off somewhere and gotten married.
No.
How come you're wearing a wedding ring?
She gave me that ring just to keep on my finger because it just helps because I've been married for 20 years.
Well, how about the fact that the people in this area have only seen Timmy Rogers pop up whenever Sherry Engel was in town? How about that?
Yeah.
I suppose you had a relationship with her and still do.
Because I follow her. We stay together.
Right.
She's just kind of been a guardian angel to me. So I just kind of hold on to her friendship. She's the only person I've got.
Well, let me break it down a little more simply. Okay. You've been seen in public with her, hugging and kissing. She took you to Myrtle Beach. You say that you live in the same place she's living right now, but right immediately after her husband was just murdered. Yeah. Now start thinking about these things. Hang on. Think about if we're sitting in that courtroom out there and we're presenting these facts to 12 people, a jury of your peers, what are they going to start thinking?
I know. They would think the opposite thing.
We know that too. That's why we're here. They're going to start thinking, well, Timmy had to have something to do with this. Yeah. That's why Timmy's here today.
So how do I explain?
You don't explain it. You don't explain it. You tell the truth.
That's what I've been doing.
I don't think you are. I think you're doing a little bit of minimalization, and that's common. That's what people do. When they feel like they're thieves to the fire.
That's always been my problem. I can't get out what I want to say.
Well, you said a lot. You said quite a bit.
Ask me
You said a lot of stuff. You told us a lot of truth, but now we're starting to get to the stuff where there's a little more tension, a little more stress. You're starting to sway off from the middle here.
Because I'm worried.
I would be worried too. Yeah. You know, there's a very serious reason why we're here today. There's a lot of consequences involved with it.
Yeah.
You know, let me tell you something else on that. I know every phone call you've ever placed on that cell phone. I know every phone call you've ever received on that cell phone.
Okay.
And you talking to Sherry once a day is a lie. There's days that you talk to her as many as 20 times.
Oh, no. At least once a day.
Oh, no, that's not what you said earlier. See,
I left it out.
I know you left it out because that was convenient at the moment. You didn't want me to know how often you talk with her, what kind of relationship you had with her.
No.
You wanted me to think you guys are just casual prayer buddies, and that's not the case at all. You guys are boyfriend and girlfriend and have been for a while. I've got people in Kentucky, I've got people in South Carolina, I've got people in between that have seen you two together behaving like a couple. Okay? That's not coincidence, sir. Not coincidence at all. You've got to decide right now whether you're going to get on board with telling us exactly what the deal is on this. You got to tell us, Timmy, because we ain't here to rub you down and push you down. We've got to find the truth, and we've got to do the best thing we can to help you do the best you can in the situation. Let me tell you, brother, at this minute, I can put you in jail for the rest of your life, and that's only the good part. There's more to it that can even be done past that. You know what that might be? You know what happens to people that murder other people?
Well, usually they go to prison for life or something.
There's other options too. Think about that. Think about that for a minute.
Oh, gosh.
They do that in South Carolina.
Oh, gosh.
And at this point, I'm sitting on a mound. You know what this is? This is a mound of information that says that Timmy Rogers killed Fred Engel.
Oh, gosh.
And you know what else? You know where Sherry's at right now? Where? She's at another facility. She's talking to another team of investigators from Horry County Police Department.
Okay.
Just imagine what she's saying.
Probably the same thing I am.
I don't think she is. We've already talked with them. Before you even got here, they had her at the jail talking with her.
If she tells the truth, I mean, that's what it is.
Timmy speaks highly of Sherry, not realizing she has no plans to return the favor in her account of the truth. And her truth will change the course of the story forever.
Okay. Tell you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Okay. That's all we want.
I don't have the exact dates or times and everything, but approximately, this is May. March. Tim kept pushing me to leave my husband and everything. I wouldn't, and I didn't want to leave my husband. I loved my husband. And he thought it was awful because of the way that my husband treated me, being the European-style person he was, being Dutch. Since October of last year, he had worked at home, and I would take his breakfast up to him and serve him breakfast, coffee, go get the dishes, bring them down, take his lunch up to him. Timmy thought this was awful that I'd done this for him. And I kept telling him it wasn't bad. It was a wife's duty. And he said, I can't handle the way that he treats you. He treats you like a slave. No, I didn't feel like he treated me like a slave. So he kept on, and I kept sort of pushing him away, and trying to see him less and talk to him less and telling him, you know, it's not the right thing to do. I wasn't raised like that. I know he wasn't raised like that, even though we both had bad childhoods. But anyway, he just got me to the point that I just broke. I said, well, just go ahead and do it if you want to do it.
You got any idea what time period that was? Time frame? Was it still in March or was it in April?
It was in April. It was that very day. That very day, March, April the 21st.
You said go ahead and do it. What do you mean by that?
There wasn't no stopping him.
I mean, what did
he say? He said, I'm going to do it for you, and I'm going to do it for me, and I'm going to do it for us.
When you say do it, though, I mean, what do you mean?
I didn't know at the time what he meant, sir, but now I do. He shot my husband. He walked up behind him at the post box. He told me down at my brother Bobby Carmen's. I went out and asked him, and also in the records you need to check after I've been to Bobby's, that I called him one night when I was in the trailer and he was in my brother's house. And I don't know how long the call lasted, but he said I was very angry. And I told him that you have killed my husband. You've killed my husband. And the next night he said, I've turned my phone off. I don't want to listen to your.
That you were here at that point?
I was in the trailer down there by Bobby's, and Tim was in Bobby's house.
Okay. How many days had you been back here when that occurred?
Honey, that was just probably 2 days, 3 days.
So you guys got back on Saturday, so that was probably Monday or Tuesday?
Monday, Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It was after the funeral and everything. It was after Tim had come down here to stay. So, like I said, I don't know the time periods or anything.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Bobby and them could probably help you with it. Selena could help you with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also find it on my phone where I did call him. He said about like 1:30 in the morning or something. And I told him that you killed my husband. I can't believe you done. He said, I did it for you and I did it for me and I did it for us. But I said, you killed my husband. Then the next night, sitting down on the porch, he kept coming out to me, and I was very cold toward him. He said, are you angry with me? And I said, well, yes, you killed my husband. Well, I thought that's what you wanted me to do. I said, I didn't tell you to do that. I didn't tell you to kill my husband. And then he sat down there and continued to tell me how he did it. He said that he parked the truck up, like my back porch is back here. Mm-hmm. You all been there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in the parking area right here?
Yes, ma'am.
He said he parked his truck there and walked down there. He said when Fred got to the box, apparently mailing a letter, which I didn't know that he was mailing a letter after Tim had told me this.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he said, I said, he didn't hear you? He said, no. He said, I said, what'd you do? How'd you do it? What did you do? He said, shh, you're getting too loud. I said, tell me how you did this to him.
I think that she understood there was a possibility that Timmy could be providing all of the information about what had happened up to that point. And I think that panicked her. She trusted him enough to kill her husband, but she didn't trust him enough to not rat her out for murder.
Take your time.
He said, I hid in the bushes, and when he come up there and he was facing the mailboxes, he said, he walked up and stuck the gun to the back of his head and shot him. And then he just some kind of rope or something, a white thing, and drug him out in the woods.
Okay. Get your breath now.
Oh, God, help me. Oh,
Deep breath, Sherry. Deep breath.
Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong.
Sure.
I'm so
Sure.
sorry.
Listen to me. Listen.
Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry, Lord. Forgive me, Father. I sinned.
Sure.
I hear you, Neil.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Sherry is visibly falling apart, yet not a single tear falls from her eyes.
I'm not asking you to find. There's something still wrong. You still got all the phone calls back and forth between you. Tim wouldn't have pulled up, gone to the mailbox, and waited that night without knowing that Fred was going to come out. Someone had to have been in the house to get Fred to come out and say, go pay a bill or check the mail.
He was going to go. He was going to go mail them.
Let him finish.
Tim didn't come out every night that week and just sit there and wait and take a chance for Fred to come out. It didn't happen that way, honey. You were involved.
Yes, I was involved.
Those phone calls were still involved. You had to have communicated with him and said that he's coming.
I did.
Okay. You had Fred go to that mailbox, either check the mail or pay a bill.
No.
Did you call him when he left on his own and say he's on the way, or?
You come across a part of the truth. We need all of it.
I think so, yes.
Do you think so? What?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, I did call him.
Called Tim?
Yes.
And said what? Remember one
He's leaving.
Okay. To go to the mailbox.
I didn't say that. I just said he's leaving.
But Tim had to have known.
He probably, yeah.
He didn't come out the night before and just wait, and he wasn't planning to come the next night.
No, but he would drive by and stuff like that.
That was the night that had been planned, especially if you're getting ready to go on a trip the next day.
That very night, that very day was when it was planned.
Okay. When did y'all plan to do it that night?
I actually didn't plan it. I didn't really think that he would do it.
Okay. When did you discuss it and say it may happen?
On them phone calls that you have on the paper.
Okay, so the calls that you said that you were under medication and you don't remember, you did place those calls, and that was
I placed them vaguely and remember them vaguely.
Okay.
I'm guilty.
You called her. Okay.
You're doing what you need to do.
I'm guilty.
I mean, but you called us back and it was a little bit off. We're just trying to make sure that we're 100%.
Well, we also have to solidify our case with Tim. I mean, he may not talk to us the way you are, so we got to be sure we have every detail just as spotless as it can be to go ahead and on with him about it. He hasn't been honest with
I told him to go ahead and do whatever he wanted to do. He was going to do it anyway. That's
I'm
what
going
I
to jump
told him.
away from it.
Okay.
We're going to come back.
All right.
Speaking of Tim, did you tell him to be forgetful, or is he naturally that way?
He's naturally that way.
So if he was to tell us he don't remember anything,
he blocks things out. He has ever since I knew him. He has done it since he was a child when his mother was stabbed. His sister had done some molestation to him, and she finally admitted it to him, and he had blocked it out until she had told him about it.
What's it take?
Things like that.
What's it take to bring something back to him? If he blocks it out,
bring him in here.
No, we can't do that. We can't bring him here with you.
Okay, that night.
That's how you can get him to talk. I can tell him.
Yeah, I understand.
That night.
I'm not going to lie anymore. I just can't lie.
Let's go back over. We're not going to the whole story or anything. Let's just that night, the calls that we talked about.
Yes.
That you looked at. You made some of those calls.
But he had called me earlier, I think, on that sheet. Will you get it out and see when the first call started that day?
Well, I only took it from after the sun went down just to save space. I've got them at our office.
Okay.
But
I'm just saying you need to relate back to that because...
Well, there were so many during the course of that day.
Is your glasses very strong? Because I didn't bring mine.
You're welcome.
Can I wear it?
Well, you see, I started, it actually goes backwards. It starts at 8:46 and goes to 6:47 the next morning, but it's not going to have anything before 8:46 tonight, the 21st.
That's pretty much...
There you talked to him for 745 seconds. The next one was 216 seconds, 132 seconds, 46 seconds, 34 seconds. Then there was voicemail calls.
This right here was probably the primary right here.
Okay, that was at 8:46 p.m.
Pretty much, or maybe a little earlier. You might have to go with the other. Go down a little bit.
With most concentration.
But as they go a little bit more here and go up less, that's when it was going.
So the calls that were about taking care of Fred, doing something to cause harm to him, correct? Correct? You're talking to Tim about...
Yeah, but the earlier
This
calls...
is the primary call. What did you mean by the primary call?
These primary calls that's not on here.
Which would have been primary calls?
When he was calling me and telling me what he's going to do and what he wasn't going to do and this and me trying to talk to him. There wasn't any talking to him then. And then when he did call and I had a long conversation with him, which I don't know how long this is, I said, go ahead and do whatever you're going to do. You're going to do it anyway someday anyway.
What was his plans after that happened to Fred? Was he talking like marriage?
He wanted to come to my house.
Afterwards?
Yes, sir.
What did he tell you?
He wanted to come to my house, in my house. I said, are you crazy?
Where did he go after he did that?
I have no idea.
Did he call you after he'd done it though?
Not for a while, I don't believe.
Well,
I don't know for sure. I can't.
Just like we said before.
Okay.
You called him at 5 after 11.
Okay.
That was real short. He said he's leaving.
He called you back.
At what time?
11:42, which is about, not quite.
That was when it was done.
Right. He called you to say it was done. It was 192 seconds. So 11:42, he called back. What did he say on that call?
I'm done.
That's all he said? Because, it was like a 3-minute call, 4-minute call.
Let me take a minute, okay? He was out of breath. He was really out of breath. Mm-hmm. And I was having a hard time understanding him. And he said, I'm done. I'm in my truck, going down the road, or something on the order of that. It's over. It's done. Just
he didn't
on
give
and
a
on.
Specific detail. He just
not until we were sitting on the porch, and he just sit there on my brother's porch and told me.
You said he shot him? Is that what you're saying?
He bought a rifle from a guy at the Value. What is it? The name of the motel he was staying at?
Value Place.
Okay, he bought a rifle, a small caliber rifle. He said from a guy there for $40, and he stuck it to the back of his head and pulled the trigger. Wow. And he said that Fred fell and hit the concrete. And that's when he took the rope, put it around his neck, and drug him off.
You say where he got the rope from? You say where he got the rope from?
No, I don't know.
Without telling you too much, I don't want to tell you everything. Some of that's not matching up. I'm not saying it's not how it happened. It doesn't sound.
I'm just telling you what he told me.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I'm telling you all what he told me.
Most of what he told you is right, but there's a little small.
Was my husband shot? Nobody's told me.
Her husband wasn't shot. Timmy lied to her, which is no surprise. Murderers tell lies. But Sherry's finally expressing some real emotion, but she's still responsible for his death. It was really important to me to make a strong effort to get her to state her actual role in this.
Sherry attempts to manipulate the detectives and escape on a technicality, nearly getting caught in her lies. Watch as the interrogation rapidly intensifies.
Well, that's part of our issue.
Huh?
That's part of our issue.
Oh my God, that's what he told me. As God is my witness on my children's life, grandchildren's life. He said he came up behind him and he was right behind him and the gun was touching his back of his head or neck or whatever back here.
Why did Fred go to the mailbox to begin with? I missed something back there.
All I can figure out is I didn't know that he was going to mail the medical insurance.
But you understand what I'm saying? Tim, why is Tim there? How did he?
Because I told him.
Did you tell Fred to go mail something?
No, I did not tell Fred to go mail anything.
How was it going if you weren't going to send him out? You're just hoping he was going to go out?
Well, I knew that we weren't going to be back May the 1st.
Right.
And his medical insurance was due before then. And he wanted to sleep in the next morning and not have to get up too early. And that's what I took that he had mailed. Mm-hmm. That's why I had took that he had went down and mailed. And when I found like I said, the checkbook that had the 2 checks in it, like I said, I didn't know about the revenue check. And this one for the insurance was dated and everything. Mm-hmm. I'm just...
and tell me... Be quiet, Neil. That's fine. But I'm still find it hard for Tim just to pull up and take a chance. But he said he didn't.
He said he parked behind the parking area.
Wherever he went, I just find it hard to believe he went up there and it just so happened that Fred went to the mailbox.
Honey, I did tell him.
The primary call, Sherry, the one you said was the primary call for Tim to know that Fred was leaving the house.
Yes, sir.
Now,
you're clarifying that, yes.
Right.
Because I'm not understanding everything now, but if y'all clarify
Did he suggest that you tell Fred to go to the mailbox or something to get him out of the house?
Yes.
Okay. That's what we're having a hard time understanding. Yes. So he said...
Get him go to the mailbox somehow.
So then you asked him to go pay the bill?
No, I asked him to go get the mail.
Okay.
You just didn't know he was mailing something?
No, sir, I did not. Okay. Not until I found the checkbook with the 500 and whatever amount of dollars it was for his medical insurance premium.
So after you knew that Fred had been hurt, do you believe that he's been killed by Tim? Is when
he told me he had killed him.
Okay, so after he told you that he had killed him,
yes,
is when you went and started knocking on neighbors' doors and asking them for help?
I never left the house for anything until I went over to the neighbor's door and asked for help.
But when you asked for help, you already knew that Fred was laying in the woods deceased.
I didn't know that he was in the woods. He didn't tell.
I knew that killed him.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you went for help, acting as though he was missing. But you knew it was down by the mailbox. Because that's why you had the neighbors go there.
Yes.
And when he didn't find it and come back, you got in the car to go help him and make sure he found it.
Mm-hmm.
So the going to the car and saying that you saw that the mailbox keys were missing, that's why you thought to go to the mailbox. It wasn't. No. It's because you already knew that Tim was there.
Yes. Okay. But I didn't know that he, I didn't, if he was parked down there, I didn't know that because he told me he parked behind where our screened-in porches is at.
He had parked there at some point that night, but he wasn't there right then.
But he didn't, he told me that on Bobby's porch, that he parked up, he said, behind where the screened-in porches are. He parked there, but he never told me any details of anything else of how he got down there or nothing. He just told me what happened.
Sherry is frequently seen passionately involved with Timmy in public, yet she blatantly insists she was in love with her husband.
That's all we were saying earlier. When we talked for 2 hours, it just didn't make sense, those phone calls.
I'm guilty. I'm sorry.
Did you promise him to get married afterwards?
No,
did you
sir,
say
I
you're getting any money?
No, sir.
He just wanted you to himself.
Yes, he did.
Like we said, he's madly in love with you. He did whatever he could.
Yes.
But there
was times that I tried to get away from him when he wouldn't let me go.
Were you in love with him?
No, sir, I was not in love with him. I was in love with my husband.
Was it truthful that you had stayed in the same house in your husband's bed sleeping with Tim?
Yes.
Okay, but nothing went on. No facts or anything.
I think the first time he came, we did, but the last time he came, we didn't.
Okay.
Sherry eventually confesses that her affair with Timmy Rogers began in May 2007 when they met during a visit to Kentucky, although Timmy is still in total denial.
Don't believe you, buddy.
What was it you asked me a minute ago? You said I left it out.
I specifically asked you, how often you talk with her? You said once a day. You didn't. No, sir. That's not what you said.
I know I didn't say that. That's what I mean.
No, it's easy to go back and start patching holes after it gets punched in your story. You got to get it right the first time. And you got to understand what's at stake here.
Okay. I didn't mean to leave it that way. That's me.
Well, you didn't mean to because you didn't think I knew. And now that I do, you want to back up and try to make out like you volunteered that information. That's not what happened at all.
Because I can't.
Well, you know something? I know more about you than you think you do. I know you're a good person.
Okay.
I also know that Sherry probably put you up with this. I know that she probably suggested that this happened. She said something about all the financial gain that she'd have if this happened, how she supports you, how y'all would have a life together and build a house. I know this stuff. Oh, good Lord. You gonna get on board with us?
I'm on board.
Sure.
Yes.
You drove your truck to Myrtle Beach.
Yes.
Okay. At that time, it was still red.
Yes.
Okay. You drove it into the Berkshire Forest subdivision. You know what? I've got people that saw your truck there.
Okay.
I've got people that saw your truck driving into that neighborhood with the headlights off. Now, who goes to a neighborhood that they've never been before and turns their headlights off and sneaks down to the end of the street and backs up across from the mailbox station? Timmy Rogers does, because I've got a lady that's going to sit on the stand and swear on the Bible and raise her right hand that saw you. Bet you didn't know how that did you?
I didn't drive into no subdivision with my headlights off or nothing.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Why didn't you? What did you do? How did it happen?
How did what happen?
The murder of Fred Engel. I think you did, Timmy. Yeah.
Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Not only did we have a witness putting your truck in that area at the same time, they saw you. They got out. They were concerned about you. They could see you in that truck.
An employee from the motel where Timmy Rogers stayed testified that he reserved a room from April 8th to May 5th, 2008, paid for in cash by Sherry. Timmy was confirmed to be at the motel on the night of April 21st, but checked out on April 30th, leaving earlier than planned. An employee noted that Rogers drove a red Chevrolet S10 pickup truck. Kimberly Maluda, a resident of the Engel subdivision, testified that on the evening of April 21st, she saw a red Chevrolet S10 pickup truck backing into a parking spot near the mailboxes with its headlights off. She didn't know the driver or the license plate, and the truck was gone the next morning.
Okay. You also, take a calls saying, we're monitoring your phone. Okay. We've gone back and looked at it. Okay. We can tell not only every time you made a call and who you talked to, but where you're sitting when you do that. Okay. Whether you're aware of it or not, when you pick up a cell phone, it seeks the closest tower. Mm-hmm. At the time that Fred was killed, you were making calls sitting right there in that parking lot because we can put you at a tower right there.
Timmy, don't shake your head, sir. I've got it on paper. Okay. Let me make sure you understand this. Okay. This is the cell phone tower where you made all your phone calls when you were at the value place. Okay. That's how I know you stayed there because I found it myself. Okay. That's the cell phone tower, that camera, that is closest to the crime scene where Fred Engel was murdered. Okay. You made the majority of your telephone calls using that tower because that's the closest one to you, and that's the way a cell phone works. Okay. All of a sudden, just out of the clear blue sky, just before Fred Engel was to be murdered, all of a sudden your cell phone starts showing up in this area right here with this cell phone tower. Okay? Right before Mr. Engel was murdered, you received a call from Sherry. A few minutes later after that, you made a call to Sherry. Okay? This isn't questionable. This is fact. Hang on. Okay. I'm trying to make sure you understand this. Okay? Whenever you received the call from Sherry, you were sitting in her neighborhood at the end of Balmore Drive across from the mailbox station. Okay? You received a call. She said, hey, he's on the way out the house to the mailbox station. Okay? Once that call was completed, you got out of your truck, you met Fred Engel at the mailbox station, and you murdered him. Because that's what you were there to do, and that's what you planned to do. As soon as that was over, you got back in your truck, and you left this area right here, you drove all the way back to the value place, and you called Sherry from the cell phone tower at the value place. Different tower. It told where you are. Totally different. We can triangulate you down to within about 10 yards, sir. And the time it took you from one call to another and where you were. Okay. You got to understand this. And the other aspect of it you got to understand is now is where you choose how the people in that jury box are going to portray Timmy Rogers. Okay. They can think, well, these detectives have got it all here laid out. There's no question about it. He had the opportunity to say, yeah, I did it. This is what happened. It was her idea. It was my idea. We did it for money, whatever the reason being. Yes. But it happened. Accidents happen. Good people do bad things and they're a lot of stress. There's people that are very influential in this world, and Sherry's one of them. I know. I've dealt with it. Okay? Now's the point where you've got to decide that you're going to tell us the truth, exactly what happened, to try to help Timmy Rogers down the road. Because if this videotape is played for a jury of your peers, they're not going to feel very fondly of it. Okay? Because you have the opportunity right now. We've got a mountain of evidence. I've already explained it to you. Okay? What do you want to know? I want to know why he killed him, first of all. He did.
By now, Timmy realizes there is no escape, and the constant dread in his eyes makes this clear.
Ms. Rogers, the question is not whether you did, it's whether she paid you up front, whether you're getting something later, whether it's because you loved her, whatever it is. Because if you were her best friend, first of all, the people that walk in the hallway at the hotel, that passionate kiss you're talking about, was not a friendship kiss with tongues down each other's throat. They adamantly sat there, they've given it on tape, as to how each other's tongues were in each other's mouth. Okay? That's not one of a friend who's helping another one out to Bible study. There's more. It's different with us. The hotel people can tell how long she was in your room. Okay? And when she left, the video's going to show. Okay? Those times are kind of odd. Okay?
Despite evidence showing Sherry and Timmy's closeness, Sherry insists she does not love him.
If you're her best friend, she's your best friend getting through times, you're in Myrtle Beach at the time of the funeral. I was there. You weren't there. Why weren't you there for? You didn't want to be seen because what?
Because she didn't think that I should be there.
You're a friend. Why shouldn't you be there?
That's because you're a boyfriend. Your boyfriend don't usually go to the funeral of your husband's death. Exactly, because you're a boyfriend.
Not a boyfriend.
Look, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. I can tell you, it's a duck.
You didn't go to the funeral because people had already seen you hugging. The hotel staff had seen you hugging her. kissing her.
Yeah.
There's more to it. If it's already in your mind, what do you think it's in ours? What do you think it's going to be in the jury's?
That's what
you
everybody
did
always
it.
thinks.
Okay. The question, there is no doubt. Put yourself in the jury box. You're listening to this case, okay, and we come up, someone's swearing, they've seen your truck. Our guys are out there. So what if you painted it? They're scratching off. They're getting the true color of what it was.
Right.
That person's going to be able to say, yeah, that's the color of it. Okay. We can put you there. We can put you on that cell phone tower at the time Mr. Fred died. Okay. Put you back at the motel calling afterwards. All the inconsistencies in her story, plus whatever she's telling now. The thing you've got to understand is we can't make promises. Neither one of us can. Okay. But we can tell you, just like he said, we're a finder of the facts. We go to the courts and we present those facts. And somebody that's willing to cooperate, it's likely to get a better shot than the one that's not, okay?
Okay.
She's the one that put you up to it. She's the one that said, let's go kill him, okay? Why take all the fall for it and let her walk away? She's just as guilty.
The detectives warn Timmy that Sherry has already spilled the beans and urge him to come clean for his own good.
Now, did she pay
financially?
I don't understand. Look, she does have a problem as far as forgetting what she says and everything. Or she'll say stuff and then she'll forget what she says.
I don't understand where that comes into play.
Because she takes a lot of medications and stuff.
Okay.
Where it comes into play. Well, you said that you thought she tried to coerce me into doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's something.
Let's see your hands. Put your hands on the table. Palm down. You're left-handed, right?
Yes.
Right.
Chew my fingernails like crazy.
Well, people are nervous about stuff like this usually do.
No.
That is not the gift of someone who just gives that to a friend. That's a wedding band.
Yeah, it's a wedding band.
Mm-hmm. But it was given to you by Sherry.
I always figured. I'll leave my breath. I always figured.
You can come back. That's right.
I always figured that she just gave it to me just to kind of help me get through because I was married for 20 years.
I think it's part of the payoff. I think she paid you to kill her husband. And there ain't no doubt about you killing him. I mean, we've established that. That's what we've been doing for the last 20 minutes. The biggest issue is why. Did she promise you all this money from life insurance policy? Did she promise you she was going to buy you a house? Did she promise you a new truck? Did she give you cash money?
She gave me some cash money before, for helping with. I don't understand.
Did you ever meet Fred?
No.
Why not?
Never had a chance. We were,
Well, you were in Myrtle Beach for about 6 weeks over the course of the last 2 months. I think that's a pretty good opportunity. Well, the woman who's your rock, your salvation, your angel, it's the person she lives with. Did you ever go over there?
No, because it would look bad.
Exactly, because you're her boyfriend.
That's the part that I'm trying to explain. It doesn't look
right. Let me explain, sir.
So your best friend have you come to the beach all this way? It's a long way because we drove from there here, so we know it's just a reverse trip.
Yeah.
You sat in a motel when you weren't applying for a job. Is what you said. You just sat there. So your best friend, rather than letting you come over and eat dinner with her and Fred, rather than knowing that you're depressed, you're out of town, there's no one around who you know, you don't sit in the motel room and chew your nails. She's going to let you do that.
She would tell me I have to get over it. I have to deal my own life. I have to.
Same person gives you a wedding band tells you got to deal with your own life, but she brings you.
Well, no, not
some person saying kissing and tongue kissing in the hallway and hugging here, and also in the
didn't say it right.
That's not got anything to do with what you're saying. It's what we're saying because we know it's fact. Okay, that's going to keep coming up. You're not going to be able to say anything to change that because that's what happened. Okay, you've got to perceive the way these things are going to look. If you saw me in an embrace and kissing somebody in the hallway, the first thing you're going to think is their boyfriend or girlfriend or they're married. Okay? Mm-hmm. The woman gives you a gift that we've all agreed is a wedding band. Mm-hmm. Okay? Get deeper and deeper, sir. Those are things that you're not going to be able to rephrase what you've already said and explain.
Right. Because that's the way it happened.
Did you see some other officers at Bobby's house when they brought you here? What we're doing is executing a search warrant at that house. Okay, when you go to a crime, no matter how much you clean up, you still leave something. Okay, or you take something.
Okay,
it could be either way. You could take something of Fred's, whether it's material things, or bodily parts or DNA, or you can leave something.
Okay,
they're doing that. Okay. When we get through this interview, you're going to a hospital. Okay.
Okay, and
there's a search warrant for you. And that's to collect DNA from you. And that's going to help also. Not only the physical parts of the statements of witnesses coming in, your truck was there, you hugging, you kissing Sherry when you're at the beach, you leaving the motel early when you're an unemployed person who's hurting for money, you leave when you've already prepaid ahead of time. You're not going to the funeral. All these things are starting to combine. But once they get your DNA to match what we've collected from the crime scene, there is no getting around that.
Okay. It don't look bad, sir. It looks awful. It looks horrible. Okay. Okay? Think about it for a minute. Do you understand what DNA is?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. What DNA is every single cell in your body has got a fingerprint to it. You obviously know what a fingerprint is and how it works.
Yeah.
Any one of those cells that are left behind, we could send it to a lab, and that lab can tell us who it belongs to.
Okay.
We got DNA off Mr. Fred Engel's body.
Okay.
It wasn't his. It wasn't Sherry's. I think it's going to be yours. Once we get that blood evidence back from the hospital, there's going to be no doubt in it's yours.
Okay.
You just gave yourself up right there. Okay. Instead of saying, couldn't have been mine, you just shrugged your shoulders. It could have been yours if it's on there.
Once everything comes out, I'll be all right. That's what I was figuring.
Okay, you said it wasn't you because your lights, you didn't say you weren't in that development. It's kind of like what I said about you nodded or shrugged just then. Is when he said you went to the development but your headlights are off. My headlights wouldn't have been off. So you were there, but your lights were on. Is that what you were saying?
No, I was saying I wouldn't be driving around anywhere with my headlights off.
Okay. But have you ever been to Sherry and Fred's house?
I have been by there, yes.
Okay. When were you by there?
Oh, gosh. She asked me to bring her a piece of plastic to cover her flowers up because it was going to frost one night.
When was that?
Okay, I don't know. A month ago, 3 weeks, I don't know, something like that. It was
time
pretty
of night
soon.
was that?
Oh, it wasn't at night. It was during the day.
So you've never been there at night?
That car, because we got your truck there. I'm trying to figure out a reason why. It's not a question
I'm
where
trying
you
to think
there,
if it
why
was
you
late
there.
afternoon or something.
No, this isn't something that can be confused for late afternoon. This is nighttime. No question about it. Okay. You're either there or you weren't.
Okay.
Have you been in there to her house at night?
Not at night.
Okay.
You see, the best thing is when you tell the truth is always the same. You've told stories in here that have already caught you in lies. It's like you painted your truck 2 weeks ago. Well, you came back here a week ago.
You haven't been there for 2 weeks.
The hotel staff said that you had the truck in that same color as it was before you primed it. You haven't been here 2 weeks. And why all of a sudden to come paint your truck? I mean, my understanding it looked better when it was the red or burgundy than it does with the primer gray. You were trying to hide something because your truck had been seen.
You knew you were seen in that neighborhood. You also knew that there was a state trooper that likely saw you because you flipped out. You drove by and the state trooper was doing a traffic stop and you slowed down to the point that cars almost drove around you because it freaked you out so bad.
You see this camera right here?
Uh-huh.
You know that there's one of those in every South Carolina Highway Patrol cars and it films when a car is being stopped.
Okay.
You know that when cars pass, it's catching a wide spectrum, so it catches all that.
Okay.
You don't think your truck's on that tape when that car is being stopped?
I don't know. When I drove by one.
You don't know. You know where you've been, sir. There's no question about that. You know where you've been. So do we. That's the thing why we're trying to establish.
Trying to give you an out, trying to get you to admit what's going on. We've got the tape of your car passing that car. Do you remember passing the trooper stopping a car on the road going to Sherry's house? One time when you
the day that I went, I don't know. I don't remember.
Was that the day you took the plastic?
I don't remember passing any trooper or nothing like that when I took.
Well, I mean, you went from doing the normal speed limit to slowing to about a crawl. The speed limit's 35, 45.
Slow down whenever you pass
but when you passed it, you continued. You did 10, 20 miles per hour, something like that. You barely moved.
You turned left on Augusta Plantation Road. You went on into subdivision. You know why? Because the lady that saw you there was right behind you in your car, her car, in your truck. There ain't no shaking your head because this lady saw you there. Okay. That's not a question. It's not a debatable issue. It's a fact. Okay. She saw you pull in with your headlights off to the end of the road and back up across from the mailbox station. She saw it.
I don't understand.
She was worried because it was so suspicious she almost called the police at that point.
Whatever Sherry promised you.
Whoever she saw, it wasn't me. I don't understand that.
As meek and mild as he may have been, he stuck to his story like a champ. He would not come off of it.
After more than 2 hours of interrogation, the detectives end their session with Timmy Rogers without a confession. Meanwhile, Sherry tries her best to manipulate the detectives, just as she's done with Timmy.
I questioned earlier, and you didn't understand me. You thought I said jewelry, but the jurors, think they'll understand a little bit more now, hearing your side versus not hearing it earlier.
Neil,
even though it's not,
I'm still guilty, honey.
I know, but at least they see there's some remorse. They know that you're at least standing up and saying what.
I love my husband and he loved me, and I just lost
None of it brings him back.
No, nothing. It's unforgivable. I said, you know what, I meant that by him not being able to hug me and tell me he loved me and how he took care of me and done things for me and everything. And God, it's unforgivable. I just want to die. Just give me the death penalty. I don't care. I just know that I'm responsible. I don't know what else to say to you all. I'm guilty. I don't want a jury trial. I don't want nothing. Just bring the judge in here and let me tell him I'm guilty. Please. I just want to get it over with. I don't want to put my family through this. It is enough what I did. It's enough for my family and my children and my grandchildren. It's enough. Please, it's enough. I plead guilty. Oh, God. Forgive me, Lord. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm guilty. I don't want a trial. I don't want a lawyer. I want to be sentenced. And if it's a death penalty, I want it tomorrow.
Well, it's not
I don't want a layover. I don't want no 10 years layover. I don't want it. I'm guilty of my husband's death.
Do you think that you could have prevented his death?
No. I think eventually it would have happened anyway because he kept on and on and on and on and on.
But that night, you could have not sent him to the mailbox, right? You could have not told him to go check the mail.
Yeah.
And told him what was going on. And
yes.
So ultimately, if you think about it the way Neil has mentioned.
Yeah, the way Neil's putting it to me, yes, sir.
You could have kept him from.
Or he would have killed both of us. One or the other.
He loved you. He wasn't going to kill you.
I don't think he loves me.
He does.
I've never seen that kind of love. I know what love is.
In his mind, he loves you.
My husband loved me. I know my husband loved me, and I loved my husband. We didn't fight. We didn't quarrel. He traveled. I traveled with him. I've lived in foreign countries. I've spent a lot of time by myself.
Your comment at the funeral home, was that a cry for help when you said you could see it in my eyes that I cared and you wanted us to find the killer? Did you know that ultimately we would be finding the killer and that would be you?
I did. I wanted you to. There was even a day that I wanted you to come to the house, and I prayed to Jesus. Let him come and let me just tell him. Do you all know what I've been living with? Now it's all out.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we're trying to say.
Can't you tell now the peace?
Yes, ma'am.
We still got one more thing to take care of, and that's Timmy. And that you're the person that's going to do that. You're going to do your part for Fred now.
Okay.
We've done everything. We've led it all the way up. So whenever we take him to trial,
okay,
you're going to be the person that says, that's the man that told me he was going to kill Fred Engel. That's the man that called me after Fred Engel was dead and told me he'd done. That's the man that beat me up in the winter of 2008. We're going to put his
2007.
2007. We're going to put his ass in the penitentiary for the longest day he ever lives, and you're going to help us do that because that's what you owe Fred.
I owe my husband everything.
To have her finally provide that information was such a relief. She essentially dispatched her own husband to his own death. And the only way I knew that for sure is Sherry Engel confessed to it.
How do you feel with yourself knowing that you had kind of helped arrange this?
Unforgivable. Unforgivable.
Sherry Engel testified that Timmy Rogers used threats and intimidation to force her into helping him kill her husband. She claimed Timmy also abused her physically and describing an incident where he abused her, tied her to a tree, duct taped her mouth, and left her there overnight, only returning the next day at noon. He came back and said, "Have you learned your lesson now?" Sherry testified. Fred Engel's brother, Rob Engel, told the court he didn't believe a word of Sherry's testimony. He reminded everyone that witnesses saw Sherry blowing kisses to Timmy Rogers during Fred's funeral. "When I was last here, I was sad. Now I'm angry," Rob said. "This isn't about her being sorry. In my opinion, she is the one responsible for my brother's death." In October 2010, Timmy Rogers was convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison. He appealed this decision in 2013, but the verdict stood. In December 2010, Circuit Court Judge Larry Hyman sentenced Sherry to 30 years for accessory before the fact of voluntary manslaughter. She must serve at least 85% of her sentence before being eligible for parole. "I hope you serve every day of that sentence," Judge Hyman said. In a tragic tale of deception and violence, the case of Sherry Engel and Timmy Rogers shows how far a web of lies can unravel. Despite Sherry's claims of coercion and abuse, the evidence pointed to a grim reality where she played a pivotal role in the murder of her husband, Fred Engel. With Timmy Rogers serving 35 years for murder and Sherry Engel sentenced to 30 years for her involvement, justice was served, leaving a community to grapple with the shocking betrayal. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you'd like us to cover a specific case, please drop your suggestions. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more such content.